time, and can't thank you enough for being with us all throughout the week, as well as on our social media on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. A lot of wonderful conversations coming up, and we thank you for being with us all week. This week has felt like 3 weeks because we have been jam-packed with wonderful people that have had a lot of great stories to tell. We'll continue to tell the story of Moyne this morning in AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, speaking on the world of spring sports on the Heights. And then we'll jump into hour number 2 with Papa Joe, as PJ will be with us in his normal post from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, speaking on the Masters as well as Major League Baseball early on this season, and the NFL, taking a look at the Jaguars and the upcoming NFL draft, which is steadily approaching. With that being said, I'm happy to bring in my first guest of today's broadcast, picture-in-picture for AD and DT, that being Bob Beretta, the Athletics Director at Moyne College. Bob, how are you? We might have lost Bob here. Bob.
Excellent, Dan. How are you doing today?
Doing very, very well. And so I know life is busy on the Heights. There's a lot of things going on, a lot of sports. The spring gets intense. So how are you balancing out the many meets, games, and events that are going on the Heights? Let's see if Bob, can you hear us?
I can. It looks like I'm having some internet issues here in my office, but I think we might be back.
Yes.
We might be back now.
So spring sports wise, I was saying, how do you balance it all with so many meets and different games going on?
Yeah, it's a busy time, Dan. As you know, it seems like we just wrapped up the winter sports and still had some crossover, and now we're exclusively into the spring. And you look at the records, and we're 3/4 of the way through the season. But that's pretty much how the spring season goes all over the country. You get into decent weather, and before you know it, you're in championship season. We're inching towards that right now. It's a busy time. We have a busy weekend this weekend here at the Heights. We have a couple of major promotional events.
Yeah.
We're going to celebrate the 30th season of our women's lacrosse program on Saturday. And then we have a big event planned for Sunday for the baseball program. We are celebrating the 75th anniversary of the baseball program and going to officially retire a couple of numbers that are unofficially out of service, if you will, but we're going to officially recognize them on Sunday. So it'll be an awful lot of fun to be part of that here at Moyne over this weekend.
And you were talking about the fact of 30 years for Moyne women's lacrosse, just what that means to you to see this milestone and the uniqueness that a couple weeks ago, Liz Bevel, the head coach of the team, was on the show. She's 30 years old. She's the head coach. And so at 30, she's celebrating 30 years. Her entire life has been the span of this lacrosse team, which is a pretty poetic way to celebrate with the head coach and her team coming up this weekend.
Yeah, and a great win for them last night. Defeated another nationally ranked opponent, went up to St. Anselm, which had statistically the top goaltender in Division II, and we scored 13 goals, won 13-11. So right now, really careening towards a collision on Saturday against Adelphi, and that'll always be one of our rivals here at Moyne, particularly in the sport of lacrosse, men's and women's. It always seems like it comes down to a Moyne, Adelphi, one way or the other. This year, on the women's side, Pace has bubbled up and defeated both Moyne and Adelphi. So Saturday's game will be for sole possession of second place right now. But big win for the women last night, gained third place, sole possession of third place, and now hopefully with an awful lot of feel-good vibes going into Saturday's game here at 11 a.m. at Ted Grant Field against Adelphi. It should be outstanding weather, celebrate the 30th anniversary of the lacrosse program. And as you mentioned, Dan, 30th, it's a 30 for 30 for Liz. It's her 30th year on this earth, and also the 30th year of the program. And we have some alums coming back and hopefully celebrate their successes and also celebrate the successes of our current young ladies that are performing so admirably in the program.
Yeah, and to do an event around this, Bob, just why it was so important to you to make sure that we showcase this anniversary and showcase this time, and just what it means to you to know that we've had 3 decades of women's lacrosse at Moyne.
Yeah, and it's 3 decades of excellence. When I got here, I was blown away by the success of the programs here in general athletically. Moyne, President Lemire refers to Moyne as our our Jesuit gem, kind of the hidden secret, and we're trying to blow away that hidden part. We don't want it to be a secret anymore. We want people to understand and know. And I think anytime you can celebrate achievements, past and present, it's very important to do that. And we've been very mindful of that here in the past 2 years when we have an opportunity to provide a good opportunity to recognize student athletes, coaches, people that are really helpful to our program. We want to make sure we use our public forum to do that. And it's really important. And athletics, you grind and you get a win and you don't take the time to enjoy it. You go on to the next competition, and sometimes you don't take a minute to step back and enjoy it. And I want to make sure that our student athletes and our coaches, our staff, they're recognized and they are taking that moment to look in the rear view for just a brief moment anyway, and celebrate their accomplishments, because the accomplishments here on the Heights are vast, and we're blessed to have the opportunity to celebrate a tremendous history and recognize those that have come before us, and also establish the standards that we're trying to live up to every day right now.
Yeah, here with Bob Beretta, the AD of Moyne College, speaking on, the Heights and the standards of the Heights. And we look at, kind of leading that right into the history of 75 years for the baseball program. And Dick Rockwell Field going to be rocking this weekend with a very nice ode to history, as well as connecting to the present and just what the plan is there. And like you said, you've had some numbers out of commission, but now they're officially going to be out of commission. So I'd love for you to give us a little bit more on what's going to happen this weekend.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for the opportunity. So on the lacrosse side, we're inviting the alums back. We're going to recognize them. We have a pregame tailgate. We'll recognize them at halftime, and maybe not as much of a public event on the baseball side. And this is open to the public. If people want to go to our website, they can still register for the event. Sunday from 10 to 11:30 in James Commons, we're going to have a brunch, and we're going to celebrate our history, and we're bringing back many former baseball players, alums, letter winners are all coming back. And at that ceremony, we're going to officially retire Coach Rockwell's number, and also the number of Eric Holstein's. So he was 13. Coach Rockwell was 24. We're going to provide them with framed jerseys and have videos and vignettes and things like that. It'll be a nice celebration. And then following the brunch down at the field, prior to the game against St. Rose on Sunday at about 11:45, we'll have another small ceremony on the field. We'll do a little unveiling down at the field as well to celebrate those retired numbers. We have a small special ceremony for Coach Scott Cassidy, who recently won his 300th or registered his 300th career victory. So we'll do that. Yeah. We'll have a ceremonial first pitch, a real special guest for us here tied to the baseball program. And so that should be an awful fun event on Sunday. Really looking forward to having so many people that were aligned with the baseball program and the women's lacrosse programs back on campus this weekend. And particularly on Sunday, if folks can come out, you'd be part of that. You can come to our brunch on Sunday. You can come out to the event and watch what we're going to do and on the field and help us celebrate what is just a tremendous career in Coach Rockwell, what he did here, not just as a head coach. As you know, he was one of the 3 athletic directors that preceded me. He was the second here after Mr. Lyon, and it was Coach Rockwell and Matt Bassett. I'm the 4th, but Coach Rockwell had a long legacy in baseball. I got to know Coach Rockwell a little bit when I was at West Point covering baseball way back then, and Lemoyne would come in and play Army regularly, and I would go down and talk to Coach in the dugout, because I always made it a point to try to talk to those legendary coaches that would come into West Point. And I don't think he remembers those interactions that we had, but I certainly do. He's an icon in that sport, and for us to have the opportunity to bring him back, recognize him in a meaningful way over the weekend. And oh, by the way, his grandson is a member of our team. Michael is a freshman on our team. So that brings it all full circle, I think.
Yeah, and it does, and it's incredible. And like we talked about, the poetry of it all is right here in front of us, which is a beautiful thing. Bob, before I let you go, really quick here to just take a look at what has transpired this season. We talked about the women's lacrosse team. We've also spoken a little bit about baseball, but we have men's and women's tennis going on. We have track and field for men and women. Obviously, we have the men's lacrosse team. We have men's and women's golf, softball as well. So there's been a lot, as I stated in the intro, going on the Heights. How have you seen these spring sports excel and find their way. I know the softball team is heating up, and definitely we saw them get hot, and then they continued to heat up. So, which is a really cool thing. But the Heights has had so much once again to be proud of. I think last year there was 6 teams that were advancing, and now we're looking at another season of postseason berths and excitement. So I'd love, before I let you go, to speak on some of these other sports, because there's a lot to pay attention to, and there's a lot going on at Lemoyne.
Yeah, my pleasure, Dan. And again, thanks for the opportunity to do that. As the weather has warmed up this week, our teams have continued to be hot. Our men's lacrosse team, number 1 in the nation, 10-0, and they're headed towards a showdown with Adelphi as well here on the 25th of April. That'll be down in Long Island. So we have some games before that, but that's certainly one that's on the calendar right before us. They seem to be poised for a postseason berth, number 1 in the country and undefeated in the conference to date. So we really feel good about where they're headed. The women's lacrosse team, again, outstanding victory last night, and now they are 10-2 overall and ranked 7th in the country. Also poised for a postseason berth. We feel like they took a really good step forward to accomplishing that last night. So we'll see where that goes. So those 2 teams have combined for a 22-2 record. Just that normal standard of excellence with Lemoyne and lacrosse here. And Dan Sheehan and Liz Bevel continue to do outstanding jobs. Our baseball team right now is at 500. They're really just getting started with their league play. They had 4 non-league games against Franklin Pierce, which is generally one of the conference front runners. And this year we played them in non-conference games, swept them 4 games 2 weeks ago, but then stumbled a bit this past weekend against Southern Connecticut in what was our conference openers, lost all 4 of those games. So we have 4 critical games for us against St. Rose this weekend, and we'll see how that goes. Again, last year qualified for the NCAAs. I feel like they have a great opportunity to do that again if they take care of business over the next several weeks in league play. Our softball team on an amazing run. So the lacrosse team, the men's team, 10-game winning streak to open the season. The women's lacrosse team right now on a 5-game winning streak. Our softball team on a 6-game winning streak now. They're 18-15 overall, really starting to come into their own under Tracy Roman. We said this program was coming, and they are coming, and I think they're going to continue to come as Tracy brings in more talent into the program. But right now, really riding the strong pitching of Laura Bennett and a quality offense that's very, very deep. As we've watched over the weekend, Dan, they can put up runs and numbers and big numbers, and they continue to do that. And have a critical weekend this weekend of play away in NE10 play. But 18-15 overall right now, and just outside of the regional rankings. So if they have a good weekend this weekend, there's a good chance that the softball team might sneak into the rankings, and they're going to be a contender for postseason berth as well. Our men's tennis team, having another outstanding season under Jeff Lonzak, unfortunately had their 21 regular season NE10 match winning streak snapped last night at Southern New Hampshire, lost 4-3. So I know right now there's a kind of a log jam atop the NE10 standings to see who will host the NE10 tournament. We thought a victory last night would have put us in good stead for that, but now we'll be in the mix to host. I just don't think it's going to be a slam dunk. Also feel like they're ranked 3rd regionally, so I feel pretty confident they will go to the NCAAs as well. The women's tennis team had a very solid year, but lost over the weekend, lost to Wilmington, and unfortunately that will knock them out of postseason contention, and their season is done right now. And our 2 golf teams have really had good seasons. Our men's golf team just won our Mike Bello Classic this weekend. We had Johnny Gruninger, local kid here. I say kid, but a young man who's from the area. He's the medalist, and they appear poised for an NCAA berth. And our women's team also doing very, very well. Mia Avatin's one of our local recruits from 2 years ago now, in her 2nd year at Lemoyne, has won medalist honors in each of her last 2 competitions. So I don't feel that the women's golf team will qualify for the NCAA championships, but they're having an outstanding year under Joe Tesori. They really are. And Mia is having just a phenomenal season in her sophomore campaign here at the Heights. So lots of great things to talk about. The spring is a buzz, and our teams are doing very, very well. Last year, as you mentioned, Dan, we put 6 in the postseason, 6 6 spring teams, 7 overall.
Yeah.
And we'll see if we can get close to that number again this year. That was a record a year ago. I'm not sure if we'll get to 6 this spring, but we'll be close to that. And we did have one already in the women's basketball team. So we're setting our sights on those numbers once again. We'll see if we can get there. If not, we know we'll have outstanding representation regardless.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, so put together by AD Bob Beretta going through the sports here in the spring and what we have, and we thank you so much for that. I know that it is a busy morning. Bob, you are a busy person. And so I know that there's a lot of things going on, and you and I are typically running, we're typically driving on the German Autobahn, and we get to wave to each other. So with that being said, I look forward to seeing you this weekend if I don't see you before that. And I thank you for taking some time this morning to let everybody know what's going on this Saturday and Sunday to celebrate women's lacrosse and baseball, respectively. We look forward to seeing you on the Heights. And Bob, I look forward to seeing you very soon. So thank you as always for AD and DT and for trusting me with Lemoyne's message. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure talking to you, Dan. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk about the great things going on here and our student athletes. And I look forward to sharing some of those moments with you this weekend over here at the Heights.
Sounds good. I'll see you soon.
Take care.
Take care. Fins up. That coming from Bob Beretta one more time here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, as we get ready toward this weekend. This weekend's going to be busy. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to it. And so with that being said, I want to let broadcast, be it on Facebook.com or YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, Facebook.com/LiveNowDT, or on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. So wherever you are and wherever you're listening, we thank you so much for tuning in. I did want to let you know here what is going to be happening over the weekend, as I had just mentioned. So lacrosse for the women's side of things is celebrating their 30-year anniversary on the Heights at Moyne College with a big-time opportunity for you to hang out with the team and get to see some former players come back and whatnot. Very excited about this. So that's going to be this Saturday. The team is 10-2, as Bob said, 6-1 inside of the NE10. They've won 5 games in a row. They're 5-0 at home, so they'll look to stay that way at Ted Grant Field, and they're 5-2 on the road. And that game coming up this weekend is on Saturday, April 15th at 11 a.m. at Ted Grant Field against the number 9th ranked team in the nation, Adelphi. They are in sole possession of 3rd place currently right now, and they have an opportunity to try and move up there and get another big-time win over a top-ranked team here, in the top 20 in the nation. They have already gotten a St. Anselm, who they just defeated, who Bob spoke about the game last night, on the road, 13-11. That was against 19th ranked St. Anselm. Before that, they beat 16th ranked Assumption University. They also defeated 20th ranked University of New Haven back on March 29th. And they defeated Mercyhurst, number 21 in the country, back on March 11th. Roberts Wesleyan, 25th in the nation, back on March 1st. And their first game of the season was a win on the road against 11th ranked Mercy College. So they have a ton of rankings against the nation's top 25. They got a shot at doing having another one and adding another one to this season, this already very successful season for the women's lacrosse team at Lemoyne, going up against Adelphi, celebrating the 30th anniversary of the program this Saturday, April 15th at 11 a.m. Eastern Time at Ted Grant Field. And for the baseball side of things, to make a quick note here of what's coming up this Sunday, to have that brunch and to be able to retire a couple jerseys here and celebrate the history, 75 years of this baseball program. 75 years. They're 15-15 right now. They sit at 500, as they have, like Bob said, just really started league play inside of the NE10. So they will have coming up here this Saturday and Sunday, they'll face off against the College of St. Rose. They'll have a doubleheader Saturday at 1 and 4, Sunday at noon and 3. And the retiring of those jerseys coming up this weekend, as well as Bob said, a celebration on Sunday. So very much looking forward to that and all that is to come for the baseball team in celebration this weekend, the women's lacrosse team, but all spring sports, as they are all in action, all vying for an opportunity to get themselves to the postseason. So very excited for this and very much looking forward to it. So we're going to have a good time. It's going to be awesome this weekend on the Heights. I'll be up there. I look forward to seeing you up there to celebrate everything that Lemoyne has done and is doing. Past, present, and future comes together this weekend at Lemoyne College, and we look forward to seeing you out there and appreciate everybody that comes out all the time. So thank you for that, especially last week, because this week's going to be totally different. This week you're coming out to sun and 80s. Last week it was cold when Bob and I were out there in the stands. It was cold, 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 but very much worth it as I got to see some awesome softball be played, and got to support multiple teams there. Went out and supported the baseball team who were in a close game, a tough loss, but a close game out there in their second game that they had in their doubleheader. So always appreciate being out there on the Heights, and I can't thank y'all enough for joining me on the Heights as well. So with that being said, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. When we come back, we'll talk about how I feel about the jersey that I'm wearing right now and what happened last night. We'll get into all of that and so much more here where sports meets life on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Stay with us.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others is really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. I appreciate you being here with me every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and cannot thank you enough for your support daily. So much appreciation. Many thanks for all the wonderful people that make Wake Up Call a part of their morning and that come back and find us on all of our wonderful outlets. So there's a lot of places to reach us. We make it very hard for you to miss us. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT, on any one of these outlets, and you can find our archive, over 1,600 episodes available just on Podbean alone. So we appreciate you going over there, downloading us, saving us, following us, and keeping us right there in your pocket for whenever you need it. And you can download the podcast and listen to it when you're on the plane. So you can download them ahead of time or have that listen off air, and you'll be able to hear the show as well. So thank you for your support. We also have some people that listen live from 30,000 feet in the air. I'm looking at you, Kevin Gagan. So big shout out to that. Never thought I would be able to say that my show was heard overseas, let alone heard 30,000 feet in the air. But both of those things have happened because God is good. So happy to be here with you today. I am wearing this jersey. But why are you wearing a Toronto jersey? They lost last night. That is the laugh of a diabolical idiot. So it's my impression this morning, I guess. But here's the thing. The Raptors lost. They are not going into the playoffs. They were in the play-in. They were the number 9 seed in the East. They lost by 4, 109 to 105. And, I watched this game. It was frustrating. It was hard. They had a lead. They lost it. But ultimately, they're out of the playoffs. So somebody might say to me, because there's a fair weather fan thing that goes on in in America. I'm sure it goes on everywhere, but I don't like it. I don't enjoy it. So it's what, Dan, why would you wear Toronto? And this goes all the way back to elementary school. It's like, if your team lost, why would you show up the next day wearing that jersey of that team? Don't you think people are going to make fun of you? And to me, this is my team. This is my city people, right? Toronto's another place to call home, and underneath it, it says North over everything. So I'm wearing Toronto on Toronto today, and might as well take BB-8 out here and show you what BB's holding. We the North, and this is in the studio 24/7, 365, baby. So I'm proud to be a Toronto fan. This year didn't work out playoff wise the way that we hoped that it would, but here we are, right? And I am so grateful. I am so grateful that we got to have the season, that there was even an opportunity to get into the playoffs. It was even there, because Toronto, I mean, listen, they were good and then things weren't good. They're missing a piece or two, definitely one, maybe two, and but Van Vliet, Siakam, and I mean, this team has worked. They work hard every year, and they've been a consistent playoff team. They won a championship 4 years ago. People forget that. And it was a trying season, not the season that I wanted to have, but I'm going to rep Toronto all day, day. And I'm proud to do that because it's my team. So I didn't just wear it today to talk about the game. I wore it today to remind fans, when you're a fan every day. You're not a fan sometimes. Everybody's a fan when they win. When Syracuse wins in football, the Dome mysteriously shows that all of these other people live in Syracuse, New York. It's like, did everyone have a baby, and did your baby speed up and become 30? How did this happen? I didn't think all these people lived here, but they're here. The team's 4-8, 4-7 maybe, with one game to go, let's say, and there's like 13,000 people. The team's 8-3, could be 9-3, and there's 30,000 people, 33,000 people. It's amazing how that works out. It's amazing how that happens. It is so easy for you to show up when a team wins. And let me tell you something about coaches, players, and people like myself. We'll let you in the door, and you can come see the game. We're not going to turn away a ticket, but we see y'all. We see the people that show up. And yeah, I say y'all, and I'm from the North. If you don't like it, I don't care. But it's reality, folks, is we see that. We see that. The players see that. The coaches see that. Oh, when we win, y'all want to come out. The Kansas City Chiefs got a new stadium when their team was terrible. If anybody can remember, the Kansas City Chiefs used to be like a 2-win team. But people came out. When you support your team, and I love the fact that people, Toronto's not a real franchise. It's not even in the United States. They shouldn't be allowed to play in the NBA. They're a Canadian team. And then you go back and you look at it. Jurassic Park, which is what it's called right outside of their arena in Toronto. Jurassic Park is nuts. People literally show up, stand outside in Toronto. The Raptors organization is cool and awesome enough and advantageous enough to put the game on screens, and they have thousands of people standing outside to watch it. This was a play-in game. People showed up for the play-in game like they showed up for the NBA Finals when Toronto was playing. When they couldn't get a ticket inside, they showed up outside. This is a play-in game. They showed up outside. Toronto fans, the city of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the people. The people are awesome. The fans are awesome. They show up, win, lose, draw. Nobody's happy when you lose. Nobody's happy when you lose. But when you love your team, you love your team. And let me tell you something. These Toronto Threads, they look good every day. I'm not trying to be biased here, but I think Toronto might be the sexiest logo out there. Just saying. And they have so many different logos. So I feel it, and I like it, and I enjoy it. Again, they didn't have the season we were all hoping for, but hopefully building toward the future in a positive way. And I'm going to rep this jersey every single day. Last night was tough. Last night was tough. I haven't thrown a hat in a long time. I threw a hat yesterday. And I did. But I'm always going to be proud of my team. I'm always going to love them up because they deserve that. They deserve that love. So I'm always going to have it for them. No matter what. That's how we rock together. So, you hope for the best. You hope for the best. And you hope to see this team bring in some pieces because we need some help. And we'll get there. We'll get there. Pascal Siakam, he's in his contract, doing his thing. Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr., Chris Boucher, Scotty Barnes, Jakob Peddle. And, they need pieces. They do. They brought back Jakob after having him. I feel like we need to bring in another big guy. Scotty Barnes done some good things, drafting him. OG's been good and helped out at different parts. Van Vliet, obviously, and Pascal, those are your two guys. You need some more firepower. So hopefully they'll make some moves in the offseason where this can happen. Because work needs to be done. And that's for sure. So hopefully we'll be in a place where some things can happen here and some work can be put together for this team to move forward. Because they didn't have the pieces. I'm not a rose-colored glasses fan. I know. I knew looking here, it's like, hey, if they even get into a series, the chances of them winning the series not that high. I know that. But you still hope. You still hope. And you move forward. So, I'm looking forward to what's coming up. I want to shout out my Raptors. Heck of a game. DeMar DeRozan, love you, man. Hard seeing you on another team, especially when that team is playing in a do-or-die situation. So, I'm happy for DeMar. I'm sad for Toronto. I wish DeMar was on the team when Toronto won the championship because DeMar DeRozan is one of my favorite Raptors. He did flop. He got fouled on a non-foul. But beyond that, DeMar, I love you. So, I don't like flopping. Can we talk about it? Can we discuss it? How grown men act like fish on the basketball court right now? Can we talk about this? This flopping? The guy's over here. He's right here. And you know what I mean? What is this? What is this? I mean, you're defending somebody on the baseline. He goes around you. He wraps his arm around you. He's holding you. He's grabbing you. That's a foul. No call. And then he falls on the ground, and you didn't even touch him. He tripped or jumped or whatever he did. The ball fouled him more than you did, but that's a foul. Or when somebody comes up to you and taps you and you, like the Matrix, come on. Come on. There was a couple flops at the end of that. Now, granted, Toronto missed free throws. Toronto could have closed this game out. I'm not saying, okay. But free throws were also given to the Chicago Bulls that should not have been given. I thought flops were trying to be eradicated. Well, they were alive and well last night. And I am not saying that that's why Toronto lost the game. I'm saying I don't like seeing it in a game no matter who's up or down. It's just not. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. Don't do that. You just look stupid. I mean, and the thing is, they get them calls, right? And then Siakam was like, all right, you know what? If they're flopping and getting calls, I'm going to shoot this three and I'm going to get a call. And he did he did the hit. Oh my God, somebody hurt me. Barely even touched him. But he got the call. Because he realized, okay, if these refs are going to do this, then I'm going to jump on it. Because refs are making some dumb calls. Some dumb calls. But And listen, I don't think all refs are bad. I'm friends with a bunch of refs. I just think that flopping is a real thing. Y'all need to call it out when you do. By the way, there's a bunch of free agents out there. Not that Toronto should pick up some of these players because I feel like they could be a pain in the butt in the locker room. But, I mean, James Harden's going to be out there. Russell Westbrook. Chris Middleton, that's a guy that I circle from Milwaukee. Kyrie Irving, again, is going to be a free agent. And then, but there's player option situations for some of these guys. So, like Russell's an unrestricted free agent. Harden has a player option. Chris Middleton has one. Kyrie's unrestricted free agent. Porzingis is a player option. D'Angelo Russell is an unrestricted free agent who went over to the Lakers. Kevin Love for Miami, he's unrestricted. And Draymond Green has got a player option. Fred VanVleet on Toronto has a player option to come back this year. His salary right now, nuts. He's making over $21 million this season. Harrison Barnes is unrestricted. Jeremy Grant, Syracuse, some Syracuse flavor there for you Syracuse fans. Friend of mine and somebody that I have appreciated and interviewed and got to be around a lot in his career. He is at Portland right now. He's unrestricted. Gary Trent Jr., who's on Toronto, he's another player with a player option. Malik Beasley has a club option. Derrick Rose has a club option. Kyle Kuzma, player option. Brook Lopez is unrestricted. There's a bunch of names out there. Jay Crowder's unrestricted. So, Seth Curry is unrestricted. Danilo Gallinari, he's got a player option. So, I mean, there's going to be some work to be done here by Toronto. And I'm going to be breaking this down myself to see what we're going to play GM because they got to make some moves. They got to bring in some guys. They really do. Because they can't keep going in this world like this. You know, Van Vliet and Siakam, it's not enough to get them into the playoffs. It's not enough to get them through the playoffs. They need more help. And that's going to need to be addressed. So with that being said, Papa Joe's coming up in just a little bit here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, but we're going to continue the conversation around the country here. So, I mean, the NBA, let's go back to it for a second. Now, Dave Pasiak's going to be joining me all throughout the playoffs, and I'm excited to have him. He joined me this week. He's going to keep coming on to the show. We talked about this play-in scenario. So, 7 through 10 seeds in each conference, for those of you that don't know, in the East and in the West. If you're the 7 and 8 seed, they play each other for the right to the 7 seed. So the 7 seed can stay the 7 seed, or the 8 seed can become the 7 seed. Whoever loses the 7-8 plays the winner of the 9-10. So if you're in the 7 and 8 matchup trying to make the playoffs and you win, you're in and you're 7. If you lose, you're still alive. So you got a double game elimination there. If you're a 9-10, you have a single game elimination. That's why Toronto's out. So looking at this right now, at the games that finished up here, Atlanta is the 7 seed in the East because they won the 7-8 matchup. So they're the 7 seed, they're in. The Lakers are the 7 seed in the West because they won, so they move forward. But from here, with Oklahoma City beating New Orleans is out. Chicago beating Toronto, Toronto's out. So there's no games tonight. This Friday, April 14th, tomorrow, Chicago will play at Miami for the rights to the 8 seed. And Oklahoma City will play at Minnesota, where Minnesota couldn't score down the stretch, went into overtime with the Lakers and ultimately lost. Minnesota has an opportunity now against Oklahoma City to stay in, or Oklahoma City, the 10 seed. So 2 10 seeds can jump up 2 spots and take this. If Chicago beats Miami and Oklahoma beats Minnesota, then you have 2 10 seeds who are out of the NBA playoffs that will fight all the way up to the 8 seed, which is pretty awesome. And it's the cool part of everything that happens here. You can be a 7 seed and be out of the playoffs, and a 10 seed that was way out, out by 2 spots, can get into it. So it's all on how you play down the stretch, and it makes these games really meaningful, and it gets butts in the seats. Toronto's going to come no matter what. I was a little unimpressed with New Orleans, though. There's a lot of open seats in that game, which made me kind of sad. I didn't want to believe it. And so Chicago will play at Miami at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, Friday, April 14th on TNT. And Oklahoma City will play at Minnesota on ESPN at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then the playoffs officially begin on Saturday, right? No rest for the weary. So Brooklyn will be at Philadelphia at 1 o'clock on ESPN. Atlanta at Boston at 3:30 on ESPN. New York Knicks at the Cleveland Cavaliers at 6 p.m. on ESPN. And the only game on ABC that night will be Golden State at Sacramento. And then on Sunday, April 16th, the Lakers will be at Memphis as the Lakers locked up that 7 seed. Milwaukee will find out who they're going to face tonight. And then LA, the Clippers at the Phoenix Suns will happen. So let me go back here. The Lakers at Memphis at 3 p.m. Sunday, April 16th on ABC. And then whoever Milwaukee is going to face will be at 5:30 p.m., on TNT. The Clippers at the Phoenix Suns, 8 p.m. on TNT. And at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT, the Denver Nuggets will host somebody. So we don't know yet. If whoever wins Chicago-Miami will face Milwaukee Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. And whoever wins between Oklahoma City and Minnesota will face Denver at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time on TNT. The good thing about this is that they don't have to play right away. So those play-in teams that play Friday don't have to play Saturday. They'll have a day off. So that's a good thing for them. And then we have games that just continue all the way through. Games on Monday, games on Tuesday, and so on and so forth. So really excited about the NBA playoffs. Very much looking forward to it. And with the NBA playoffs coming up, you can't not talk about the NHL playoffs as they line up almost completely parallel. When the NBA is in the postseason, the NHL is in the postseason. And so for the NHL side of things, to take a look at the standing, my Anaheim Ducks are atrocious, so we don't need to talk about that. It has not been a year for them, so we're not going to discuss that if we don't have to. And so the playoff scenario for these teams is as follows. In the Eastern Conference, the Atlantic Division, the Boston Bruins, Toronto Maple Leafs. Shout out to Toronto, getting better. Toronto Maple Leafs, Tampa Bay Lightning, the Florida Panthers, they're all in. The Buffalo Sabres, Ottawa Senators, Detroit Red Wings, and Montreal Canadiens have been bumped out of the playoffs. In the Metropolitan Division of the East, we have the Carolina Hurricanes, the New Jersey Devils, the New York Rangers, and the New York Islanders. I always love it when they both make it. They'll be playing. The Pitt Penguins, Washington Capitals, Philadelphia Flyers, and Columbus Blue Jackets are out of the postseason. In the Western Conference, in the Central Division, the Dallas Stars, Colorado Avalanche, Minnesota Wild, and Winnipeg Jets have advanced into the playoffs. The Nashville Predators, St. Louis Blues, Arizona Coyotes, and Chicago Blackhawks are eliminated. In the Pacific Division of the West, we have the Vegas Golden Knights, the Edmonton Oilers, the Los Angeles Kings, and the Seattle Kraken, a new team to the NHL in the playoffs, looking like the Vegas Knights. Vegas Knights came in, got into the playoffs. Seattle Kraken in the playoffs as a young team. I love that. And the Calgary Flames, Vancouver Canucks, and San Jose Sharks, as well as my Anaheim Ducks, are bumped out of the playoffs. So that's where we are. That's where things are currently. So excited to see this. Very much looking forward to it. As it stands right now, the current playoff matchups, we will have the Boston Bruins against the New York Islanders, Toronto Maple Leafs against the Tampa Bay Lightning, Carolina Hurricanes against the Florida Panthers, New Jersey Devils against the Rangers in the East. In the West, we would have the Colorado Avalanche against the Seattle Kraken, the Dallas Stars against the Minnesota Wild, the Vegas Golden Knights against the Winnipeg Jets, and the Edmonton Oilers against the Los Angeles Kings. So, excited to see it, looking forward to it. And here we go from here. So things will hopefully be exciting. I'm excited to see Vegas and Seattle in this thing. And like I said, to see the Rangers and the Islanders both be playing. So looking forward to it. Shout out to Joel Carpenter because I appreciate you, brother. And a non-shout out to Joel Carpenter because you said the Bulls and you see what I'm wearing. So I love you. but I'm not fond of your statement. So that's what I would say. But big shout out to Joel. Make sure you head your way out to 317 at Montgomery Street, what I consider the Michelin restaurant that's right here in our backyard in downtown Syracuse. 317 at Montgomery Street, downtown Syracuse. Fantastic food. Make sure you make a reservation. 315-214-4267. That's 315-214-4267. Don't forget it. Make sure that you get in touch with them today. Their food is fantastic. You know I don't say it unless I believe it. And there is no place like 317 at Montgomery. And I am so happy that they are right here in our backyard so that we get to enjoy them all the time. They're open for lunch Tuesday through Friday from 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. And their dinner hours Tuesday through Thursday from 5 to 8, Friday and Saturday from 4 to 9, and they are closed on Sundays and Mondays. So you have the opportunity to go in today for lunch from 11:30 to 2. You can also go in for dinner up until 8 p.m. from 5 to 8. And of course, you can get lunch tomorrow and dinner tomorrow. And then on Saturday, you can get yourself some dinner from 4 to 9. So make sure you get out there and try all of their incredible food. It just, I mean, honestly, it keeps getting better. And we do Downtown with Dan, our exclusive series that we film at 317 at Montgomery Street, where I get to try this awesome food. The edamame pot stickers, pork belly bao buns. I've had those on the show. And the chicken bibimbap, folks. Not only is it fun to say, it's more fun to eat. The soft shell crab mac and cheese and my short rib. Basically, what I think Joel has done, whether he realizes it or not, is he has tailored the menu to all of my favorites, and they just so happen to be favorites of other people. So, good call, Joel. Very good call. So, shameless plug for the awesome people at 317 at Montgomery Street because they deserve it. No plug for your statement on the Bulls. And, I don't know. I feel like at this point, I should charge extra this month because you made such a horrendous statement on my live feed. The amount of disrespect. So, but listen, I'm happy for DeMar DeRozan. I am, because he's a former Raptor. But that man flopped like the best of them last night. He needs to stop that. He needs to cut that out. But listen, like I said before, I will wear this jersey proudly all day, day. And if you can see it here, if I can spin it to the back, not only am I wearing it, but I'm wearing my name on it. 21 Tortora. That's right, baby. And I got a lot of Toronto stuff, a lot of Toronto gear. So I'm going to wear it all season like I wear it all the time because I love my team, win, lose, or draw. If you love your team, you love your team. And it's as simple as that. You can be frustrated. You can be upset. You can be confused. But you show up. You love them up. And I have made it a habit of wearing something of my team the day after they lost because I want them to know that I'm in their corner no matter what. I love my Raptors. I'm very proud to be a Raptor. And I've been a Raptor since 1995, maybe since 1994 when the logo came out. Whatever the logo came out. But they started playing in 1995, and I have been a Raptor fan since then. All the way through from day zero. And this is here in the studio, too. Damon Stoudemire. One of the biggest reasons why I'm a Raptor fan. I love the logo, but I became a Damon Stoudemire fan like the second that he was on the Raptors. And this used to hang in my bedroom as a kid. And now it's here in my studio. D-Stod with his rookie card. And I think I might be the only person in the world with over 200 Damon Stoudemire cards. I have an entire collection because he's my favorite player. I don't care if the cards are worth $5,000 or 5 cents. Damon Stoudemire has been and will always be my favorite player. And it is an honor and a privilege to be a Toronto Raptor fan. Win or lose. Rain or shine. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, PJ is going to be bringing it. What did I see here from Joel? That foul for Siakam was ludicrous. He wasn't shooting. Yeah, I brought that up. He realized, Joel, that your team had flopped twice down the stretch. So he took advantage of the refs calling flops, and he flopped. I'm not saying it was right. I'm saying Pascal was an opportunist. He said, oh, okay. Well, if that's a foul on DeRozan, then I'm going to pretend like this is a foul on me. And that's what went down, man. That's what went down. Neither one of them was doing, they were both flopping, but the refs were calling it, unfortunately. And yes, Mighty Mouse, Damon Stoudemire. We'll take a step aside. Papa Joe's coming up in hour number 2. We're going to talk about the Masters as well as the upcoming NFL draft and Major League Baseball early on. Buckle up, Buttercup. It's only going to get better. That's what we do here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are the chicken bibimbap of sports shows, which means we got a lot of flavor, a lot of different personalities and different things going on. Not all inside of me. No split personality. I leave that up to my exes. But we have... we are like the chicken bibimbap of sports shows. We have a lot of flavor, a lot of color, a lot of fun, and when you mix it all together, it makes something that is absolutely one of a kind. We'll take a step aside for a fast break. We'll be back right after this. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student-athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicoli's.com. That's myaviccollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, They fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. Appreciate you for being here with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And, of course, hanging out with us on YouTube.com and Facebook.com/WakeUpCallDT, WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. And after we go live, jumping into the archives and finding us in all of the wonderful places that we call home. We are very, very hard to miss, is what I like to say. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, and more getting added. So all you have to do on any one of these is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And you can ask your Amazon and Google Home device to play the latest episode of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and they will do that for you proudly as well. So make sure that you do that. And I appreciate y'all for downloading us, following us, keeping us, and saving us with you. And it means a lot to me. So with that being said, speaking of what I appreciate, there's a guy that they refer to as PJ, the Go-So, grand old smooth one. There's also the Papa Joe, when you just throw it in there. Not a real singing voice, just a fun one, like a cartoon. He's PJ. He's Papa Joe. He's the Go-So. He is the infamous.
What am I supposed to say after
that? Yeah, this is the thing, PJ. You are there. There is Prince, Journey, the Rolling Stones, Aerosmith, Phil Collins, and if you put them all together, all of their talents, all of their power, everything that they bring. This man is an Arnold Palmer he is the cold Arnold Palmer on a hot summer day. He is the chicken to your barbecue, Papa Joe. Welcome to the show.
Aunt Mary thinks you're nuts. Well, I'm good. I feel so much better here now to be able to ambulate a little bit more and move around. And I actually had my bad knee that I was supposed to have another surgery on. Instead I got a cortisone shot, and that's allowed me to move around. And I got to clean my cars around the house here. And that started yesterday, and I'll continue on today until I get them all done.
Yeah, and see what happens is, because I just built up your ego so much, Mary's like, now I got to deal with this for the rest of the day. So that's what it is. But you said you're cleaning your cars. I think Jay Leno takes a backseat to Papa Joe's prowess when it comes to finding these and cleaning them up and making them look pristine. So you have been back in the lab again, back getting after these cars again. We haven't talked about the fact that you're wheeling and dealing again. So I'd love for you to share that to my car people out there, that PJ is back on the prowl when it comes to the cars.
That's true. That's true. Well, we decided to keep the 98 Corvette. And, of course, we just bought the 2016 Corvette with 9,800 miles on it. And we have Mary's Mustang, which is in excellent shape. What I do, Daniel, is if you're going to do these kind of things, and when you invest in a classic car, you got to keep them up. and that's mechanically and aesthetically. So I use a product called Griots, Griots. I used to use McGuire's for years, and a couple of years ago I got hooked up with Griots, and their products are unbelievable. They're expensive, but they're unbelievable. They are just remarkable what they do to a vehicle. So that's what I do. You know, you have to use. I have all the polishers and I have everything that I need to do any vehicle, and that's what I started on yesterday with the Griots, and I did my 2016 a couple days before that in the garage, and Joe's going to be picking up the 98 because he's going to license it and drive it if it's going to be his car. So we're happy about that. He's happy about that. And for all you guys that love cars and you know how to take care of things, sometimes it's best to get the best product out there, even though it's a little bit more expensive. No one will be disappointed in Griots. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, and to somebody that doesn't know about it, how would you, like, why do you think that that's one of the best things to get out there and worth paying for?
Well, if you use enough products, so you use different ones. I used Mother's, I've used McGuire's, I've used several different ones before I landed on McGuire's and before I got Griots. There's a certain way that the car, that the waxes go on, and a certain way that you can buff them out. It's just that there's a substance in their product that allows the best to come out in a car. I have a window cleaner, I have leather cleaner, I have rubber cleaner, I have interior cleaner, I have leather cleaner, I have the outside, I have wax. I have all the products that I need to make the car shine. And the more I use Griots, the more that I like it, and the more that I buy of it. So if you'd have to take my word for it, you can do your own taste test. You can't find Griots in the store though. You got to get it from their website, and I think they're out in Washington, Mary, and Portland, Oregon, somewhere out there. Yeah, and then you just have it sent to you. And if you like it, it's fine. If you don't like it, then use it and use it up and go back to whatever you're using. I find it to be the best product that I've had in all the years that I've been messing around with cars.
Yeah, and listen, you love it, and we try. I mention it before we get into anything else today because you are a car connoisseur and you love it. I mean, this is something that you love. It's something that's meant a lot to you for a long time. It's a connection between you and Joe, and obviously you and Miss Mary, and it's a connection to your past as well. So I think it's a beautiful thing. I'm still waiting on my invite to go to one of these auctions and bring my tail down there where I got to go, because I want to experience it, but I don't want to experience it without you and the fam, because you guys have done it for so long, and it's been so fun. I feel like I want to make a movie about it called Wheelin' and Dealin', and just have like that mind of PJ, because you haven't found like okay cars. You found some really nice, beautiful. I mean, I made history being in the Prairie Bronze. I broadcasted from inside of one of these classic cars. So, I mean, you guys have good eyes, and you're just good at going out there and finding the right stuff and getting what you need, how you need it, because you brought some pretty amazing vehicles into the family, and it's special. I think some of the cars that you brought in, I would have never even been around them if not for you.
Well, it's it takes practice and everything, but I also have to give credence to my ability to move around a lot more now. I'm on my feet. I can actually bend over and wash the cars and wax the cars. Sometimes I have to sit in my little buggy and scoot around and do the wheels and stuff, but I'm 1,000% better than I was 3 years ago. So I'm happy to do that. And if you invest these kind of monies in the kind of cars that we're talking about, you want to be able to show them and try to win trophies with them, and have your fellow car guys say, "God damn, Joe, you can do a hell of a job." What do you use? And I always say Griots. So, but Some guys use it. I only know one other guy in our car club that uses griots, and his cars are nice too. And it's just the way we do it. Mary likes it too. She's out there messing around too.
Well, the thing is you've now said that name enough that they owe me a sponsorship. That's how I look at it. So if you say it at least 3 times, then there goes the sponsorship. So I like it. But here with Papa Joe this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios. We're speaking on a lot of different topics. Started out with the classic cars. And when I go down next time, I'll make sure to shoot a little video and have some fun with it so that you can actually see what we're talking about, because seeing them is a totally different world than simply, we talk about it here, but when you're around them, it's like being in a museum.
Kudos to my son Joe too, because he's also an expert. Actually, he showed me some different stuff that I would have never thought of, and I lean on him a lot, especially if I'm using a buffer, a high speed buffer. I always used to do things by hand.
Yeah.
And my cars came out great that way. But when you have a buffer and you know how to use it, cuts your time in half. And he taught me how to use that, because if you don't watch it, you get swirls in there and you can't get them out. So, you got to be careful too.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, there's an art to the dance of all of that. So we jump from cars to the place where you have to walk everywhere, and that is Augusta when it comes to the Masters. Just finished up this past weekend perfectly and poetically on Easter. What are your takeaways from the Masters? Koepka looked like he had a shot and then didn't have the best ending, and then we see John Rahm do what he did. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, John Rahm did a good job. I warmed up to him a little bit. I thought he was a little arrogant when he first got on the tour. Plus, he went to school at Arizona State, and he came over here not speaking any English. So he's learned to speak English, that's for sure. I'm a Brooks Koepka fan because I like the way he plays. I like his demeanor. I love the way he plays. So he's just a strong guy. And he and Bryson DeChambeau were going through their junk last year. Who was puffing up the best, and DeChambeau was hitting the ball 400 yards and all this kind of stuff. Well, he's flown under the radar, and Koepka's back on the radar because he got hurt. He was out for a couple of years. He hurt his knee. And, it all comes down to the competition that these guys do on a specific golf course. The Masters, certainly at Augusta Golf Course, is probably one of the premier events in the world for the game of golf. And you have to be at your very best to play it, because every year they change it a little bit. They modify a hole, they do this, they'll make the greens faster, they'll make them slower, they'll put the cups in different and impossible positions to get to. And it taxes a player. They got to have all your shots. You got to be able to drive the ball straight, got to be able to hit your iron shots true, you got to be able to chip and putt, get out of sand traps, got to be able to putt like a fiend on those greens because they're so difficult. Augusta, for all it's good, sometimes it's a little phony, and the guys that run it, I think, are phony too. That's just the way I feel. I don't know. I don't want to describe to any other feeling to anyone else. It's just that I think they're phony. But when the tournament starts, you see the best players go. Unfortunately for the rest of the golf community, there are 2 now major tours that are locking heads. The LIV tour is the one that Greg Norman started up, and has taken a lot of really good golfers away from the PGA to go over there. Why? Because of money. Money. Brooks Koepka got $100 million to go over there. And I think they offered Tiger Woods $500 million to go over there. Look, if these guys got deep pockets, as long as they got oil coming out of the ground, they're going to spend it like drunken fools. And they do. And their purses are twice as much as ours over here in the States. And there's only 40 players. They only play 3 rounds, not 4 rounds. So, what's not to like about that? There was an article just a couple days before the Masters, and there was a guy named Harold Varner who He's a good golfer. He's not a great golfer, a good golfer. He's never won on the American Tour. He's a black guy too, which is unusual for golf. And they asked him questions about the money and stuff like that. And he says, listen, he says, all these guys that are saying money doesn't care, they're full of S. That's what he says. And he says, I'm here for the money. I says, I got a great deal coming over here. My family's going to be set for the next couple of generations. And I don't have to win golf tournaments to do it. I do well. I like to win. I want to win. But I don't need to win because I've got such a big stake here.
Yeah.
So these guys are getting their money up front, and then they're playing on different courses around the world, and they're playing only 3 rounds. So, it's a lot easier, not taxing. And there was a lot of BS talked about from the normal PGA players saying, well, the guys aren't playing well over there. They left our tour because it's too hard and all this kind of stuff. Well, two of the best players in the world, Phil Mickelson and Bruce Koepka, almost won the damn thing.
Yeah.
And there was 4 other guys that were in the top 20. So you can't tell me that the LIV players aren't playing well.
Yeah.
Sure, they're playing well. And as long as they're going to have pissing contests back and forth, but I'm glad to see that there was civility between the players, especially. Patrick Reed is another guy that I like a lot, is with LIV Tour. You have to treat each other with respect. Just because you're in a different part of the world, making a lot more money, doesn't mean you're still a regular guy. You just got to. Rory McIlroy's got a big mouth. He's been running his mouth for 6 months about all this kind of stuff. Well, his problem is he's not playing very well, and he missed a cut. So Rory, listen to PJ, listen to GOSO. Get your ass out on a damn range and hit balls until you're blue, and start playing better. Then you can talk better. So it goes in one ear and out the other ear. But as fans, you like golfers for how they play. I don't care where they play. I like a lot of European golfers, and I like a lot of our golfers, of course. So, it's not for everyone, but the pissing contest between the tours is not going to go away. The PGA is put in the unfortunate position of having to raise the purses, not by a lot, but raise them because they need more sponsors. And these sponsors here can't knock heads with the oil companies over there. So that's it in a nutshell, Daniel. The tournament was great. There were some really good players. I thought Jordan Spieth was going to be up there for a while. Patrick Reed was there for a while. The amateur Sam Bennett looks like he's going to be a pro next week probably, because he played really well.
Yeah.
And you saw John Ram is probably the best golfer in the world right now, although I like Scotty Scheffler better. And of course, Koepka is right back there again. He threw his knee out, and it took him about 18 months to get back to where he is. And he's a big, rugged guy. He's like a linebacker, and his arms are huge, and he just hits the ball a mile. And Ram hits the ball far too. So you can't be a faint of heart and play this game. You got to go out and do it. And you got to go out and do it at the courses that give you the most precious place to play, and that's Augusta.
And they say, some people said that Phil Mickelson was washed up, but at 52 years old, he tied for second. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, Phil Mickelson. Now, Phil Mickelson is a jerk. Let's put it that way. He's got a big mouth. He's always had a big mouth. He's a prima donna. He's a jerk, but he plays good golf, and he's done that for years. He jumped on the senior tour and won his first couple of tournaments, without any pressure from anyone. He's 52 years old. He went on another one of his diets this last year. Looks like he lost about 30 pounds. Looks like he's anorexic, for Christ's sake. He's just skinny bones. But he shot a 65 in the last round.
Yeah.
If there's anything wrong with Phil Mickelson, I didn't see it. He plays well, and he'll play well on the tournaments on the LIV Tour. That's it. I mean, he's a big mouth guy, and he's another one that runs his mouth all the time. And he and McIlroy go get pissing contests back and forth. Mickelson did well, and so did all the other players. It's a very difficult course to play. And you saw that John Ram would make more shots than Britt Koepka. Koepka did not have his A game on his the last day. It's a tough time not to have your A game, Daniel.
Yeah.
But he also didn't make any putts. You can have your B game as long as you start making some putts. You can make a 73 look like a 68 if you're putting well. And he didn't putt well. That's all. He caught fire. He ended around. I think he birdied 3 of the last 5 holes to get him back into respectability range. So he's a world-class player, and he won the week before in Mexico at an LIV tour. So he was coming in there fresh, and although the first 2 rounds it looked like he was going to run away from it, but I know that watching Augusta for 50 years, that when the weekend comes, the course tightens up.
Yeah.
And if all Koepka needed to do was play par on the 2 rounds in the weekend, and he probably would have won it. But it's hard. It's too hard, Daniel.
Yeah, and listen, it's the greens were kind to some, not kind to others, and we got to see that, and at the end of the day, it was a great finish. It was a great time. John Rahm won. Love seeing his family afterwards. Love seeing the babies and seeing his wife and that connection that seemed very genuine. So, like I spoke about before, I thought that was a beautiful part of things. I'm happy that we got to see them win the way that they won. I thought that was really cool to see, when I say them, meaning him and his family. So at the end of the day, I think it was a good Masters, and the green jacket, that's a special place to be in. It's a special world to live in. It's a world that is tough to get into. My older brother referred to beautifully and kindly as meatball number 1. Wants to know what ew means to you, PJ.
Say that again, Daniel. I didn't get that.
What ew means to you? He put an E with a lot of W's here. What does that mean? What?
I call him a moose because he's so big and strong. He lifts stuff all over the place. He helps us with stuff around here, and we have fun with that. Actually, I discovered that years ago when I was living in a fraternity house at the University of Florida. And we had some guys just come up with some weird stuff, and that was one of our calls to each other, ooh, like that. And just stayed with us all these years. And I taught it to Joe as a kid, and he hasn't let it go. So I have a lot of fun with it. And he'll send me a little meme with a moose, and he'll go, ooh. So it's fun. It's fun.
I like it. So yeah, he wanted me to send that over to you. Papa Joe here with us this morning. In this second hour, in his post of 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on Thursdays, he is exclusive to us on Wake Up Call. We bought the rights to Papa Joe a long time ago. So we will take a step aside for a fast break. When we come back, we'll shift gears to baseball and a little bit of football, as well as we are getting ever so close, believe it or not, folks, to the NFL draft. And the Jacksonville Jaguars do not have the number 1 pick for the 3rd year in a row. That is a beautiful thing. And I don't know if anybody's ever said it better than that, because I'm like, ew. I do it like that. But the way PJ said it, that ew. So I like it. I like it. So we'll be back in just a moment on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora after this fast break. So to my brother and to another dad in my life, I'm going to send you all into the fast break like this. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll be back in just a moment. Ew.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios, hanging out with you where sports meets life. Appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time here inside of these Cafe Kubal studios. A lot of great stuff coming up here in our continued conversation with PJ. PJ in his typical Thursday placement here, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. You've heard him from 9 to 10, 10 to 11, sometimes 9 to 11. But he is here with us and exclusive to us here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I am very spoiled to have these, what I call time capsules, to be able to have these conversations with Papa Joe all throughout the year. So with that being said, PJ and I have baseball on our mind, and we're going to jump right into the baseball side of things. So Papa Joe, your thoughts on baseball? I'll leave it open as I always do. As we are early on in the season, baseball is upon us, and I got to give it up locally here to the AAA affiliates of the Syracuse Mets. I was out at the stadium yesterday and during the day, and it looks absolutely pristine. You and the fam got to come up here, and I got to take you all to a game up here. You're going to, I honestly walked through the parking lot yesterday, looked at the stadium, and I said to myself, when Papa Joe sees this, he's going to say, SH, you know what? He's going to go, Daniel, it's a nice stadium. So, it's a beautiful stadium, and you guys definitely have to see it.
Well, the most astonishing part of the early season is the incredible start that the Tampa Rays are on. They won their first 12 games. I caught them last night. One of their bonus babies started his first game. Taj Bradley, I think was his name. He looked good. They beat Boston. Tampa is playing the best ball I've seen from a team to start the season forever. I can't remember anything like this has happened. And the reason I say that is if you look at what's happening to them, they're first in team average of 286. They're first in runs scored. They're first in home runs. They're first in on-base percentage. They're first in slugging percentage. And they're leading the league with a 2.17 ERA. Now, how in the hell are you supposed to beat them? You can't beat them right now. The way that they are playing, absolutely unbelievable. They got a bunch of guys that, Tampa's done this for the last 6 or 7 years. And it all started with Joe Madden. Joe Madden instilled something into the Tampa clubhouse that has been carried forward by Kevin Cash. And they lose with, I can't say not good players. They have some good players, but they have mostly nondescript players. They're just regular ball players. They don't get the $100 million contracts or anything like that. A few of them do, but these are regular ball players, and their payroll is always the smallest in the league. Yet they keep winning. How do you put that in words? I can't. I'd have to look at each and every player and analyze it from that point, and say, how does all this happen? That they're 12-0. It's remarkable, Daniel. And if you're a baseball purist, you don't want them to lose, of course, but they are, of course. And you just want to see them continue to strive. I mean, the AL East, they're 12-0. Toronto and the Yankees are 8-4. That's how far behind they are. The Yankees are playing well. Garrett Cole's throwing well. Toronto has always hit well. In the Central Division, you got the Twins at 8-4 and Cleveland at 7-6. Both Cleveland has looked good. They beat the Yankees a couple days ago. The West, you got Texas and Angels at 7-5. My Angels are doing better this year. They've at least they're off to a decent start. Mike Trout was hammering the hell out of the ball. Since then, he's gone 0 for 12, so his average has dropped 100%. Ohtani's not hitting, but Ohtani pitches. I'll get to him a little bit later. But it's tough. It's tough to keep it going for 162 games. But the Angels have got to find a way to crack into this deal. They got to do it. And if they don't do it, I think they're going to lose Ohtani. They got Rendon coming back now from what happened to him, insensitive comments. You got Trout, and you got the rest of these guys are good ball players around Trout. So let's hope that they beat it. In the National League East, you got Atlanta at 9-4. Your Mets are 7-6. Both teams playing well. Mets, so-so. The Championship got Milwaukee at 8-4. Pitt at 7-5. Milwaukee hasn't played well at all. I don't think so. They've been very fortunate to win the 8 games. Yelich is batting first again. He hit a couple yards the other day, and he's still not hitting. He's still not the player that he was when he was at the MVP. I don't understand what's happening to him. I don't know if it's mental. I don't know what it is. But in the West, you got your Arizona at 8-5. Can you believe that? You got San Diego and LA at 7-6. Well, Arizona's playing good. I mean, they're winning, and that's all you want to see. Hey, if they get to be 50-50, Daniel, that's remarkable. You there?
Yeah, and PJ, when you look at what's been going on, like you said, you've kind of broken down the season up to this point and the teams that you think are, taking the reins early on this season. How much weight do you put into it? Like, how much weight do you put into the early part of the season? Because we've seen, in recent history, the Baltimore Orioles would come out for a few years and they would look really hot, but they would end at the bottom of the AL East. And so, there's times where I've jokingly said, but also seriously said, my Arizona Diamondbacks would look good in the first half, but then be a totally different team in the second half. How much weight do you put into this part of the season? Do you think that we really are seeing teams that are going to hold weight at the end, or do you think that some of this is smoke and mirrors?
Smoke and mirrors. You don't put any importance to this at all. Guys are getting to know each other. There's new players on each team. Sometimes there's a new manager. You got to get used to the manager style. That's why you have spring training. Players are getting to know each other. New players coming into the league want to know something about the league. So if you can put it together quickly after about maybe 30, 35 games, and then you start rolling into the summer, and that all-star game, you should be in pretty good shape with where you want to be, where your pitching is, where your hitting is. After the all-star game is when you put the pedal to the metal. So I don't put any credence in what's happening right now, although I do admire the Rays being 12-0. It's remarkable what's happening. And you got Ohtani down the road. He's won 2 games. He's got a .47 ERA. I watched him the other night. He was unhittable. He gave 7 innings, gave up 2 hits, struck out 8, something like that. You know, these are good ball players that we're watching, and I think that some of these players are going to start to assert themselves. Maybe even some of the Rays. I mean, typically, when these guys started playing well with the Rays, the next season, some other team stole them away and gave them big money. And that's what's happening to the Rays forever. Hell, they gave away our favorite, Joe and I's favorite team with Longoria and all those guys, Jamie Shields. They gave everyone away, but they're still winning. I don't get it. It's remarkable. But there are some areas we have to touch on, and that's hitting, of course. Hitting, you can dig yourself a big hole if you don't start swinging the bat well. You gotta grab it, and you gotta start hitting a lot better, because if you're batting good now and you bat 250 or 270 for the rest of the year, you still got a shot to beat 300.
Yeah.
Matt Chapman of Toronto's batting 489. That's impossible. Guerrero from Toronto's batting 417. Adley Rutschman from Baltimore, rookies, 391. Liberatore from the Yankees, batting 371. Corey Seager from Texas is batting 359. But you forget about him for a while, because he's on the IR for 4 weeks with a hamstring pull. So that's gonna hurt Texas. On the National League side, you got Luis Arraez from Miami batting 500 and hitting the hell out of the ball. Bryson Scott from Philly is batting 420. Dansby Swanson from Chicago is batting 400. Acuna from Atlanta is batting 370. And Paul Goldschmidt, one of my favorite players from St. Louis, is hitting 364. So, you gotta follow these guys. Guys like Goldsmith and Acuna and Guerrero, they're going to be there at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Some of these other players I named, probably not. But it all depends. It all depends on pitching. We can get into pitching a little bit.
Yeah, and with the Tampa Bay Rays, you mentioned it. I mean, it's something that real baseball fans see when they're watching in a broad paintbrush. And the broad paintbrush of Tampa is when you're saying, they're kind of like the farm team for the rest of Major League Baseball. They bring in these guys, they build, they come out, they play well, their names grow, their reputation grows in a positive way, and then they get bought by somebody else. And you brought up Longoria. There's a bunch of guys that this has happened with. I mean, how do you take it? You've been to Rays games with Joe. It's not too far away in Tampa. How do you look at the Tampa Bay Rays? Because I don't like the moniker, but the reality is that they are the other 29 franchises farm team, where they watch these players develop and then they just offer them more money and take them away from Tampa.
That's right. And, these are, I don't want to say that Rays are a bunch of ragtag players, because they're good ball players. I mean, but they're just good ball players. I mean, they're not great ball players. If a couple guys has a career season, maybe like happened in the past, someone will steal them away. If they're a free agent, forget about signing back with Tampa. Someone's going to outbid him, and take the guy away, which is exactly right. But it comes to pitching too. I know that you've always heard me preach pitching and defense that wins baseball games, and that's true. But there's some hitters one guy from Baltimore is named Ryan Mountcastle. Never heard of him. He's got 5 home runs and 18 RBIs already. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where this guy came from. But Baltimore has been on the end of the league for years. They just can't seem to get off the schneid. So, Pete Alonso from the Mets has had 6 home runs and 12 RBIs. So you look for some kind of trait. One thing good pitchers do is when they face a guy for the second time or the third time in the season, they'll know how to pitch him better. Now, this Mountcastle guy is not going to last, that's for certainly. He may be a good ball player, but he's not going to have the kind of numbers he is because the pitchers are going to get wise to him. That also goes to the pitchers that face him more than 3 times in a game. First time you face a pitcher, the second time, third time, if you got a hit off him, he's going to come up with some other junk. So it's all you have to learn. It's a process you're going forward. You got to be able to do it. Pitching, the Yankees, Garrett Cole is 3-0. Kyle Gibson from Baltimore is 3-0. There's Baltimore again. McClanahan from Tampa is 3-0. Ohtani's got 2 wins and a .47 ERA. It's great. I mean, in the National League at Urias, at LA has got 3 wins. Taylor McGill's got 3 wins in New York, and after that, nothing. So, you just have to play your 6 games a week. Travel is going to run down on you.
Yeah.
You're going to get hurt. You're going to have a sprained knee or something's going to happen to you for sure. And then you're out for 10 days or so. When you come back out, you start hitting batting practice, and you're not the same. And that's what's happened to a lot of players. And I mentioned Christian Yelich earlier, and he is a mystery. He is an enigma to me. I don't understand how. Now, there's another guy that would to play for the Marlins. Now, Milwaukee stole him away with $300 and something million contracts, and he got a National League Most Valuable Player. But since that time, he's had some injuries. He broke a kneecap. However you do that in baseball, I don't know. And he hasn't been the same. He hasn't run the same. He's not covering as much ground in the outfield as he has. He's not running at first base as fast as he was, and he's not hitting the way it was. So, you're really looking at an enigma when you look at Christian Yelich. And so too, some of the guys that I mentioned here, you're going to see them, come summertime and maybe halfway through the summer, you're going to find them going down the ladder instead of raising the ladder, instead of trying to get their, the hitters try to average 300. If they can do that, they're going to make a lot of money and they're going to win some ball games.
Yeah, and here with Papa Joe here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, talking ball with you this morning and taking a look at this. You said you wanted to go deeper into pitching, PJ. What about it do you want to jump into here a couple weeks into the season?
Well, I'm glad to see Garrett Cole get out to a good start because he's always kept himself in excellent shape, even when he's in Texas. He's a big guy, 6'5", 240, throws the hell out of the ball. With the Yankees, actually with a lot of teams now, you're not going to see starters go more than 7 innings. If you see a starter go 7 innings, it's a miracle. And the Rays ascribe to that plan. They'll throw a shutout, Daniel, and they'll throw 5 pitchers.
Yeah.
Who the hell is going to get the win?
Yeah.
It's just the way the game is changed. I don't like it that way. I want to see Justin Verlander, and I want to see Max Scherzer. I saw Max Scherzer pitch the other night, nasty as can be, and Verlander's coming back off a problem he had. So both of those guys should be thrown for the Mets. And both of those guys don't like to come out of the game, believe me. Scherzer especially, and he just gives the manager just an evil eye. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But most of the teams now are going to, it's called platooning. That's all. They'll throw 5 or 6 pitchers in a game and win a game 4-3 or 7-8 or something like that. And I guess what they're telling me is that it allows their pitchers to be more fresher during the end of the year. I guess it was proven last year to be true. 2 years ago it was the same way too. And the Rays are doing that. They're throwing 4 or 5 pitchers and winning games. But with big time pitchers like Garrett Cole, Urias from L.A. and Clayton Kershaw, guys like that, they're going to get their 6 or 7 innings in if they're on. If they're not, the Yankees, the managers will pull them in a heartbeat.
Yeah, we see, where, like you said, Tampa Bay is the only undefeated team right now in Major League Baseball. But I do want to make a quick note, PJ. I think it's important. In the National League West, the standings as of this morning, there's this team at the top of the standings in the NL West. They're named the Arizona Diamondbacks. They're in first place above the San Diego Padres, the Los Angeles Dodgers, the San Francisco Giants, and the Colorado Rockies. I'd love to get your thoughts as we wake up this morning and the Diamondbacks are first in the NL West.
Well, Daniel, I gotta tell you honestly, I don't know much about the Diamondbacks at all. And I saw them play Milwaukee last night. They beat Milwaukee handily. They got a good ball club. I'll learn something more in the next couple of days because I do get all the games on my Major League Baseball channel. I'm happy to see them do that because frankly, San Francisco and the Dodgers have just run rampant over the years in that division. So it's time maybe for Arizona to show what they got. If they can play, if they can hang in there and play 500 ball to the All-Star break, they got a chance to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, listen, I'm just happy that they're in first place today. That is what I look forward to. That's what I get excited about. I'm proud of them, and there's a lot of good to come. Before we let PJ go here, we got a few minutes left, Papa Joe, as we talked about baseball and spent some time here with pitching as well as the state of baseball a couple weeks in. The Arizona Diamondbacks in first place of the NL West and the only undefeated team in America of 30 franchises being the Tampa Bay Rays right down the road from PJ's at 12-0 at the time we're talking. On the NFL side of things, Papa Joe, the Jacksonville Jaguars will not for the third year in a row have the number 1 pick. I jokingly but seriously said going into this past season that what I care about is Jacksonville not having the number 1 pick for the third season in a row. That'll show me we're moving in the right direction. They have the picks. Their pick comes later on in this thing, which I'm excited about. Their draft is going to come in the 20s of the first round. What are your thoughts about the upcoming NFL draft? Do you get excited? Do you watch it? And what do you think Jacksonville should do with their pick in the 20s?
Well, I do watch the draft. I think it's interesting. And I caught a couple of the local pundits in Jacksonville area talk about the draft and what they thought would be viable for the Jags to go for. And I came up with 5 names for you. A guy from Tennessee called Darnell Wright, offensive lineman. University of Georgia, edge rusher Nolan Smith. Iowa, edge rusher Lucas Van Ness. Clemson, edge rusher Miles Murphy. And Go Gators, offensive lineman Cyrus Torrance. So those 5 guys that they thought were very important, 3 of them are defensive and 3 of them are rushing the passers. That's where we are right now with it.
Yeah, and offensive and defensive line is where I think they need to go. To me, that would be the place for Jacksonville. They're building some depth in the offseason, which I like, but I really feel like they need to address the trenches. I go back to George O'Leary all the time. I say it like a broken record, but it's true. He told me when he was the coach at UCF, if you are not building from the inside out and you're not focusing on your offensive and defensive line, you should probably do something other than coaching because you're not going to win a championship. So they have to focus there. I think maybe a linebacker and maybe bring somebody in the secondary. You got a lot of firepower. I think your backfield's good. I think that you got a lot of firepower with your wide receivers, especially if Calvin Ridley comes to play. Trevor Lawrence is Trevor Lawrence. So what it comes down to me, is offensive and defensive line, linebacker, and maybe bringing in some secondary members, maybe going and finding a corner. So I'm excited about that. And what's good, their special teams, they have some good players on special teams. So their punter, their kicker, they have a lot of the pieces that they need. I think now it's offensive and defensive line first. Then it's maybe corner, linebacker type of move for them from here. Would you disagree? Is there something else you think they need?
No, I think listening to these guys and the way they were throwing things around, I enjoyed listening to them. But you're right. The 5 guys that I mentioned, 2 were offensive linemen and 3 were defensive linemen. Obviously, that's where they need to look, and that's where they need to help. Offensive-wise, I can't wait for the season to start. I can't wait to see Ridley stretch the field. I can't wait to see Lawrence throw the ball all over the park. Can't wait to see Terry Etienne go crazy again. I just can't wait to see the offense. But saying that, it looks like they need help on the offensive line and they need help on the defensive line.
Yeah, and hopefully they address that. Walker Little has stepped up in a big way. Cam Robinson's been injured a lot, so that's an issue that they've had to deal with. You bring in some other guys like Brandon Sheriff that I think is helping the team out. I think Tyler Shatley has done a tremendous job of filling in when he needs to, and now trying to, moving into a starting role, and the fact that they gave him a 2-year contract going into last season. There's bright spots on the offensive line, but there needs to be consistency. And in my opinion, I think they look for best offensive linemen in the 20s when they do make their selection. I think they're going to have to go a best available offensive lineman. And I want them to pay attention to the fact that offensive tackle Matt Bergeron, who the Jaguars worked out and spent some time with, he might be on the board there. And he's considered one of the top 8 in the country by some. So I'm just saying, we could have another Syracuse player down in Jacksonville.
Oh, that's good. Glad to hear it.
So that coming from PJ on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. A little bit of baseball, a little bit of golf, a little bit of cars, and a little bit of the NFL and the Jacksonville Jaguars down in Duval. So we're always happy to bring that to you. We appreciate you so very much. And if you've learned anything today from my conversation with Papa Joe, I hope it's these 2 things. Ill and the Arizona Diamondbacks are number 1 right now in the NL West. So with that being said, PJ, thank you for everything. Take care. That coming from Papa Joe. And I love how when he announces somebody that is on the Florida Gators, he announces them as Go Gators. So when he was talking about linemen and whatnot, he was like, you have this guy, you have this guy, you have this guy from here, Go Gators, this guy. I love that. So, the play on words is awesome, and I always have a good time with PJ having fun here. He is unique unto himself in such an amazing way, and it's always this hour flew by. I honestly feel like I just started talking with PJ, and now we're done. So thank you, Papa Joe, for all that you bring to the table and for everything that you do for us, as a family member, as another dad in my life, as a dad to Joey, as a husband, as a friend, and just a good person. Thank you for all you do. And the same goes for MT and Joey and Marissa, and I will even say Boom Boom, that wonderful cat that likes to bite you for no reason. So with that being said, big time thanks to all my guests today. Of course, starting the show off with a bonus AD and DT featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora, speaking on spring sports and what's coming up this weekend as we honor 30 years of women's lacrosse on the Heights at Lemoyne and 75 years of baseball at Lemoyne as well this Saturday and Sunday. We look forward to seeing you out there. And a big shout out to all the spring sports and everybody that's in competition, as well as everybody that finished up their competition over the last few months in fall and winter sports as well. Papa Joe, big time thanks to him in our conversation on cars, the Masters, Major League Baseball, and the NFL. And you've heard all of this by tuning in on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, on facebook.com/live-now-dt. You've also heard the show. And a big thanks to wakeupcalldt.podbean.com for all that you've done over the years, especially carrying us live in recent history. Big time thank you to everybody that downloads us on any one of these many, many outlets. You can go there. It is free and easy to find us. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, and YouTube. You can find us by going to any one of these outlets and searching Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big time thanks to our incredible partners, our team, our family. We're strong. Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, PB&J's Lunchbox, Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Great Lakes Honda City, 317 at Montgomery, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Mother's Cupboard, Pizza Man, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Avicoli's, and the proud exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. You find the Dolphins on Wednesdays on Wake Up Call at 9 a.m. Eastern Time in Dolphin Time, where we have on first and third Wednesday of each month, we bring you AD and DT. And the second and fourth Wednesday, we bring you the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. So don't miss a second of all of our great content. You can go to the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com to see everything we've done as that continues to be updated throughout the year. Once we do a special, then we bring it over there. And of course, you can also find all of this content by going to our YouTube channel on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe and being there with us for free. So make sure you do that. Big shout out to our Dolphins and everything we get to do all throughout the month, including Wednesdays at 9 a.m. And as you know, like days like today, that we go above and beyond, under promise and over deliver on our Lemoyne content. They've gotten more coverage in the last couple of years through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora than you have ever seen consistently in Lemoyne history. That's why we are exclusive partners. We care about them tremendously. We love telling their story, and it means a lot to me. LeMoyneDolphins.com for more information. Make sure you head there. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, our exclusive multimedia marketing partners of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, having a spotlight on them like you have never seen before. The Bobcats of Syracuse here with us in men's and women's soccer, men's and women's basketball, as well as their inaugural season of the baseball team. We have a very special spotlight conversation with the baseball team coming up for you very soon. Stay close to our social media, as I can't wait to air that and bring that to your home, your office, wherever you are, the gym, or if you're out there on a run. A lot of great stuff coming up with these wonderful Bobcats as we've gotten to tell their stories for over a year now. Hard to believe that it has already been a year from February to February. Time flies when you're having fun. That's a true statement. I love what we get to do with the coaches and student athletes. I've met tremendous people at Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse. They have been a treasure for me. It's been an honor to share their stories, and I love the fact that we get to put a spotlight on a school that deserved the spotlight a long time ago, and I'm happy we get to share that with them today. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse. Don't miss a moment of all of our content, and make sure that you are with our page, BSC Syracuse, on wakeupcalldt.com. Bookmark it and save it. And, of course, you could join us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, and make sure to subscribe to YouTube while you are there watching our Bobcat Buzz specials. For more information on the Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With all that being said, I want to thank you for being with us on today's show on Wake Up Call on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Another big thank you to Bob Beretta, the AD at Lemoyne College, and a big thank you to my other dad and a fantastic human being in my life, Papa Joe. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Find us on all of our social media, like I said. We'll see you Friday, God willing. And in the meantime, God bless, no stress, do your best. Go Toronto. Shout out Arizona for being in first place. And ew. Talk to you soon. Be good.